All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to this daily forecast for tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be Wednesday, June 17th, 2026. Let's start by looking at the economic calendar here. So, as I've been saying since the beginning of the week, tomorrow the main headline is FOMC, of course, and the press conference because it's going to be Kevin Warsh's first um, first press conference, and so it's going to tell us a lot about his personality and how he sees the future of the economy in general. But overall, I don't expect any hikes um, or cuts in the interest rates. That shouldn't happen tomorrow. They should keep it stable. All right. Other than that, we do have British pound CPI. That could be interesting. So we have inflation picking up here in the UK from 2.8 to 3%. All right, sorry, I'm back. I just had a call. So before I left, I was saying that we had the GBP CPI, and then we have some New Zealand dollar news. But overall, the main thing tomorrow is FOMC um, statement. That's the most important tomorrow. Okay, so if we start by looking at the dollar here, um, honestly consolidation. Well, you'll notice throughout the forecast that today was a consolidation across pretty much all markets, maybe except oil. That's all. But here, if we look at the dollar, didn't really move anywhere. Nothing significant happened. I still think that we can continue higher from this weekly fair value gap, but right now, price is telling us the opposite. So it would just be waiting for price to clear up here. Now, if we look at the interesting majors, we had AU again, didn't really, it started moving lower during the night, but then completely reversed. So that's not too great. I would want to, again, wait for price to clear up here. GU, same thing. EU, same thing. NU, same thing. And then USD same thing. So it's just about waiting to see if the dollar clears up. Because remember, we don't want to look for any shorts here. We don't want price to go lower here on the dollar. We're expecting higher prices. And so as soon as you start seeing evidence that price wants to move higher, and potentially, take out this high and go trade above that high, so something like this, then there's a good reason to be looking at the majors here. But for now, um, there's just there's just nothing conclusive here on the dollar. So that's waiting. Now gold, massive consolidation today. Nothing, literally nothing happened except that in 4 minutes we are going to create this daily fair value gap, which is a nice looking daily fair value gap. I think on the short term we can continue higher from it. I think tomorrow we're gonna definitely gonna have a sting back inside that daily fair value gap. And what I see on a more medium to long term would be price retracing here in that daily fair value gap first, then going all the way back up to the golden level, and from the golden level continue lower. Because remember, my long-term bias on gold is still short. That hasn't changed for me. So, but for the short term, for tomorrow, I would say long. If we do get the retracement back inside that fair value gap, then long until we reach the golden level. And after that, we'll have to reevaluate everything. But right now, that's the plan here on gold. Um, Same thing, literally the same thing here for silver. The fair value gap is a little bit smaller, but it's still a pretty good fair value gap in my opinion. So same thing here. Short term, so for tomorrow, I expect price to go back inside that daily fair value gap, then to continue higher towards the golden level. But once we reach the golden level, I expect lower prices. Okay. So I might be wrong about this, but that's more of a long term. We'll adapt and see how things develop here. But overall, gold and silver is the exact same plan for tomorrow. Now, crude oil. So crude oil had I actually went on the weekly time frame, and I found that not only do we have a monthly fair value gap, but overlapping, we also have this weekly fair value gap, which we got a sting into today. And yeah, so right now, I think oil has gone lower for a very long time, and we we grabbed all that fair value here inside this weekly and monthly fair value gap. There will need to be some kind of a reaction from this area. So I'm seeing higher prices for the remainder of the week here. I honestly don't expect crude oil to go back under like $75 a barrel. I might be very, very wrong about this, by the way, but that's just how I see things. I think that before we revisit the $75 area, I think we're gonna see 80, probably like maybe even $85 before we come back down. So yeah, overall, I'm bullish here on crude oil. I know it doesn't seem like it, but the failure to create that last 4 hour fair value gap, then if we look on lower time frames, we have a 1 hour fair value gap here, and then on the 15-minute time frame, price action is looking good to continue higher. So yeah, I'm expecting just higher prices tomorrow on crude oil because it has gone down too much in the past few days. Okay, so now moving on to Bitcoin. So Bitcoin again, just mostly a consolidation today. Nothing crazy happened. So for tomorrow, maybe we can have a sting inside this fair value gap, continue higher. Um, Something like this. Then we sting inside this daily fair value gap, and then we finally go lower towards the 50K area. So here, really, there's just nothing interesting here. All right, now the indices. So today, honestly, that's the market that kind of surprised me a lot today. I was expecting a new all-time high today. We did reach a new all-time high on YM, which is Dow Jones, but that's a different story. That's just the industrial average. It's not necessarily the biggest companies. And so if we look at the S&P, which is like the broader measure of the market, we didn't reach a new all-time high. And honestly, that move lower that we're seeing right now is quite strong. So it gives me reasons to doubt a little bit. But even though I have doubts, I still have to acknowledge that we have this daily fair value gap and we could just very well sting back into it and then reach an all-time high, which is very possible. So again, tomorrow, if I'm being objective about this, then I would say that we should see a new all-time high tomorrow. But I don't know, something at the back of my mind tells me that that will not happen and that we're actually going to start going lower. We'll have to see what happens. And then if we look at Nasdaq here, Nasdaq is even weaker than the S&P. Much weaker, in all honesty. This is a very strong, almost 2% down today. So again, we do have a daily fair value gap. So again, we could just sting back into it and continue higher. That's the logical thing for price to do right now. But I don't know. Again, I have this gut feeling, I have this feeling that we're just going to reverse and start going lower even more. So we'll have to see, monitor and see what happens here. And then finally, let's take a look at the crosses quickly, see if something has changed. Nope, nope, that's not interesting anymore. Australian dollar GPY. Yeah, okay, we can keep that on the interest list, but it's not interesting right away. Canadian dollar CHF. Uh, it has delivered technically. So no. Australian dollar, Canadian dollar, no. It's just not good anymore. GBP Canadian, that's still good. We can keep that on the interest list. I still see the case where price could retrace all the way back to this daily fair value gap. And then Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar, that's no, that's not great. Okay, so we still have three left on the process interest list. So we'll have to see how things develop here. But overall for tomorrow, I would say my God. I don't know if you guys can hear that in the recording, but there's like a huge thunderstorm here. And yeah, that was pretty loud. Anyways, yeah, so for the dollar, I don't expect much from tomorrow for tomorrow. It's just about reacting, to what price does. But if price starts moving in our direction, then I would take a look at USD CHF or AU. Then on gold and silver, the plan is very simple for tomorrow, just higher prices until we reach the golden level. Crude oil, I would really like to see some higher prices tomorrow. Bitcoin, nothing crazy here. And then the indices, logically speaking, we should see some higher prices, but be aware that anything can happen here because this is quite the big retracement right here. Okay? So, yeah, that's it, guys. That's it for the forecast. Thank you for listening, and I will see you in tomorrow's forecast.